All right. Excited.
You're live.
Oh, hey, I'm excited because we're live. And good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to go from stress to purpose in one breath? It's time to wake up the giant. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, co-creator of Wake Up with Giants TV, a tribe of giants, 12 Journeys coaching, and a bunch of other cool stuff alongside this handsome devil here. Well, two handsome devils, but one's our guest, Nicholas T. Smith. He created the Giants and the Smalls. This is the reason why we're here. You can find this on Amazon. I also wrote in a book about kindness, Journey of Riches. You can find that on Amazon as well.
And on our website.
And on our website. Hey, speaking of that, the 12 Journeys, my12journeys.com. Sorry, I was thinking about my 12 Journeys, 12 Journeys coaching and tongue-tying that all together. But he also wrote A Tortoise's Hair. It's in the background right behind his. There you go. You can find that on Amazon as well. And we were just finishing up. We've got a little bit more to send out on our Kickstarter to fulfill that promise. But it's happening. So we're excited. It's all coming together there. We also do SG groups. Nick, will you explain what's going on with our SG groups? Yeah. We're in our third week of the current one.
Yeah.
Will you explain that?
Absolutely. So we're on SG 16. So SG stands for Sum Gigante, which means I am giant in Latin. And so our SG program is designed to install an operating system in you for giantness. It's really looking at all your old programming, the narratives, the judgments, the self-stopping behaviors that we have, the not enoughness that we tend to feel, and turn those into your superpowers. And so what we do is we essentially help you rewrite your operating system to go from playing small in your life to living as the giant God designed you as. And so, and I'll say it that way because I didn't have to earn the equipment that I have to play with here. You know, it was given to each of us to do that. And now it's waking up to that and helping you to see it for yourself. So if you want information, I'm going to pull up the screen here so you can see the website, but read through this website, see if it connects with you on the Sum Gigante program, because we tend to bury ourselves. And I'm looking forward to this conversation today. We've been programmed out of certain things, and our job is to reawaken those things that are going to serve you for your lifelong growth. And man, just an incredible program. The people that are going through it right now are experiencing some significant changes in how they approach their emotions, their sensations, their experiences themselves. There's a lot more self-love going on, and a lot more of an awakening of they can actually create the dreams they have in mind, which is incredible to me. So
that's beautiful.
Go to my12journeys.com. I'll throw that up here, right there on the bottom.
Makes it easy.
Yeah. So check it out.
If you ever go to, and you want to see us, if you want to see us go live every single dang time, go to YouTube, hit the alert button, subscribe, hit the alert button so you know when we go live every single day.
Yes. Yep. Please do that. Let's jump in, man. Should we introduce this guy?
I think we should.
He's a good dude. So today we're diving into something so simple yet so life-altering. It's your breath. In a world chasing success and speed, we often forget the most powerful transformation starts by slowing down. This conversation is about returning to presence, aligning with purpose, and awakening the wisdom within, one conscious breath at a time. Our guest today is Wolfgang Steiner, a breathwork guide who's been leading weekly global sessions for about 6 years. Living in the mountains of Western Serbia, he followed a calling in 2018 to breathe with people. And that calling became a mission to take one conscious breath with all humanity. Wolfgang's work isn't just about breathing. It's about living with intention, healing through awareness, and remembering who you truly are. So take a deep breath and help me give a massive welcome to Wolfgang Steiner. Welcome to the show.
Hmm.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here with you. And our goal and purpose with this series is really to awaken our potential into growing the things that we have in mind, and there's an essentialness to this breathing. I would like to find out from you, why breath? Why did you land on breathing of all things you could do in this world? How did you determine that was your gift to bring to the world?
Wow, thank you for that question. I think that brings really everything to the point. Um, I had a lot of issues health-wise in my early time of this life until I was 33, uh, until I had severe issues in the most amazing company where I started working, which was the ultimate company, which was Hewlett Packard. Why I actually also was just last weekend in San Francisco in the Bay Area for an event which is called Soul Fest for the ultimate reset. So I was at this company, and in 2000 suddenly I needed to leave that place with the clarity it's not about to find another company, because I was in the ultimate I don't know if you know HB and
I've heard
the
of them.
culture around this company.
No, I
HB
don't.
was the foundation of Silicon Valley.
Okay.
So HB was the origin of Silicon Valley. And the culture which Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard created was even taught in universities. It was like management by walking around. I heard these things later on, and I realized, these things came really from a place of these two guys met each other and just were buddies. They were studying in Stanford and creating for the first Disney movie the oscillator to make the sound. And that was, I think, 1939. That was when Hewlett Packard was founded. So that's just a side note. In this company, I was meant to be. And when I was dropping out of this company, it was clear for me there is no other company I could possibly go, because this was not good anymore. So it was not about the company. It was literally about I needed to release corporate world and to find something. I had no idea what it is. So I literally just went and started. I was guided to meditation. And at one point, we had a conversation, and a friend of mine shared with me there is something like breathwork, and I had never heard of that. And that was in 2000, and in this moment, I felt drawn to it. I didn't know why. I just felt, wow. I shared that with my best friend, and he said, my roommate just started a breathing training. I said, wow. So I connected to this friend, and he referred me to the training, which was, I know today, one of the best trainings in the world, which is in Vienna. So I connected to the trainer, to my teacher. And well, we had a conversation, because this is a professional training. So for this training, there is some prerequisites, mentally, physically. So we had this conversation. 2 weeks later, I found myself in the breathing education, which is a 3 years training. It was the most amazing, significant, beautiful time in my life. And that was 2002 until 2005, for 3 years. To find out about 4 years later, 4 years before, around 2021, I figured out why I really was so drawn to it. I had my first coaching with a lady in a group, and the question is, find your why. And she was so beautifully guiding through this topic that I literally found out through my training. We had one part which was about birth. And we had a questionnaire to go back to our parents and ask questions. who does that? So I went back to my parents with a questionnaire and asked each of them about the time before I was conceived, while my mom was pregnant, about my birth, and after birth. So the whole phase really rolled out from both sides, from my father and my mother. So I knew things you usually don't know because you don't ask the questions. And I realized I almost died while my mom was pregnant with me. I was supposed to be aborted. I was born with the navel cord around my neck. I was a blue baby that has an impact on first breath.
Right.
And after a couple of weeks, I had a lung infection. So I had 3, let's say, unpleasant breathing experiences in before, while, and after my birth. And with this reduced breath, I went through the first 33 years of my life with a lot of issues. I was frequently sick. And when I connected to the breath and I started the training, all the issues I had for the first 33 years instantly were gone. Because with this conscious breathing, the energy flow increases in the body. And it was simply a lack of energy, which creates uncomfort when there is allergies, when there is, you know, I'm born in May. It's the most beautiful time. You know, the sun becomes stronger, the trees are flowering. You know how many people are hiding because of this time, because of this what is it, seeds, the
Yeah.
pollen.
Paul.
So people are hiding. So was I. So this was the most beautiful time, and I found myself frequently in bed. And usually it was like the doctor was coming, he gave me a pill or injection. He said, "Oh, it's a flu going around." So that was the standard. And for me, that was normal. Okay, I'm weaker than others, so I'm laying in bed frequently. And after 33 years, I took this conscious breath, and everything was over. And when I realized the power of this conscious breathing, I went on a mission to teach and share that with people.
Yeah. That gives a lot of context to how this evolved, because I'm going to pull in the 12 journeys and how we operate here,
Yeah.
because we're in the root journeys right now in our SG program, and we're talking about tools of empowerment. This is one of those tools that is often overlooked because it's so non-conscious that it's always with us. It's the one thing that'll be with us from our birth. It'll leave us at our death, right? But in between, this tool is there, and for many of us, it's so unconscious that we don't even remember it's there as a tool. And so during the journeys, what we try and do is, wake people up to these experiences that molded them, just like yours with your parents, and your birth, is that molded you and made an impact for most of your life, 33 years, or a good chunk of your life. And then you wake up to that and you do that gently, and then you go into, grieving whatever, or feeling whatever sensations might come up because of that awareness, and then moving into accepting and acknowledging it and growing into an empowered state. And when you woke up to it, you moved into an empowered state, which allowed you to start impacting the world. So you started stepping into the unknown. You started using the abundance that was around you. Oxygen, I don't know if people knew this, is abundant. It's weird. You don't have to pay for it, right? And then you had a vision to take that oxygen, that air, and turn it into something. Can you speak to that? Is that bringing up something for you as you hear that?
Yes, what I hear is every one of us has a life purpose, which is connected to experiences we had in some stages of our life. And hardly the question is there, what would be my real purpose in life? We usually are more making a living. That means do anything to, in nowadays world, make money so you can buy the things you need. And basically, anything is okay for that, right? When we connect it to a life purpose, it becomes a meaning, not, well, possibly for us in our family, and possibly for a wider circle of people in our environment, or in my case, I received a vision in a mastermind to take a conscious breath with all humanity, which, by the way, was a step. The first step was to take a breath with 1 million people, which accidentally happened. And then the question occurred, what is the next level after 1 million? And 4 years ago, it was very popular for companies to reach for 1 billion customers. I don't know. I just heard it all over the place. Every customer focused company was talking about, we want to reach 1 billion customers. And I remember I was in this mastermind, and the question was, what is the next step after 1 million people? And it occurred 1 billion people, which was like everyone was, and literally the thought came, that's boring. And it was, the next thought was all of them. And I had no idea how to do that. And I just took it on and felt, wow, there is a way to create that. And then I was going on with that, actually not speaking about, because literally I had no answer if somebody asked how you want to do that, until I was in Mumbai on the ultimate experience, where it occurred that a couple of years, I'm living in Serbia, so I'm working with people online. And in Mumbai, it occurred that I made my first live breathing session with a group of people in a hotel room 509. And through this experience, in the ultimate experience in Mumbai, people started talking about this conscious breath because they experienced this natural conscious breath. And suddenly the voice was there. And I thought, wow. And I started speaking about my vision. That was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, wow. And you don't need to know how you're going to do it, right? So the idea there is you're not required or responsible to know the how. You're responsible for stepping into the unknown, and it's amazing how it opens up. You know, the how is figured out on the other side. And the breathing, you know, it's one of those things that when life gets stressful, especially for me, I notice that I almost stop breathing. It's very up here, right? And why is that? Like, why do we do that? Is that a evolutionary adaptation? Can you go into that?
Well, there is two things to that question. First of all, our breath is significantly influenced by two things human beings are doing. This is upright walking. So the upright walk alone has an impact on how we are breathing
Oh, wow.
with the diaphragm. So
Yeah.
there is a high price for us to walk upright. Usually we would walk like a monkey on all fours.
Oh,
And
interesting.
when we started upright walking, that has an impact on our diaphragm, our deep breathing, belly breathing.
So I just need to bow down a little more, you know, get on my.
Yes. So if you're walking on all four, you are
Yeah.
more naturally breathing into your belly than when you stand up. And there is a second thing which is even more influencing, and that is our language. Starting speaking had a massive impact on our breath, because when you speak, it's a how you say, it's a fine regulation of the breathing pressure, which creates the sound. So when you speak, you massively influence your breath. So when you speak a lot, you most likely have a lot of issues in your breath.
Wow.
So reducing
Yeah.
speaking, being quiet, being silent, going inward is when we can actually connect to the original state
Oh
of
my
breathing. And
God.
I would like to say something about that. The natural breath, when we come to the world, when we are born, is a conscious, connected breath. That means the breath is flowing in and flowing out without a break. And on this level, we are all connected. When we start our journey, we start making pauses, and then we get disconnected. And by reconnecting to the breath, and especially to the conscious connected breath, we connect to our origin. And in this moment, we connect to ourselves, and instantly we are connected to somebody else who is connected to him or herself. And that is where the conscious breath with all humanity really kicks in. When we take one conscious breath together and you connect to yourself, I would like to make a conscious breath, take a conscious breath with you afterwards.
Yeah.
When I take a conscious breath and I connect to myself deeply, and you connect to yourself, in this moment, we are immediately connected. We don't need to do anything to connect. In this moment, the magic already happened that we are connected. And this is a feeling, let's say, connection, love. In this moment, we would not be able doing things we do today because we don't need to say anybody what they shouldn't do. Everybody knows what they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
We just can do them because we are not connected. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do things. For instance, if you're littering, if you're connected to your breath, you cannot throw whatever you throw out of your car. You're literally disconnected in this moment. When you see somebody throwing something out of the car, I saw that on the highway. By the way, the highways in the US got much more dirty than 36 years ago. So that means people are much more disconnected today than
Wow.
36 years ago.
So like I'm having awakenings to this in so many areas where I know, I'll speak for me. I am so disconnected in areas that I unconsciously, right, am breathing. I'm not even breathing into the world. I'm breathing into my own experience, and then that creates things outside of me too. I don't know if that's making any sense there, but this is it's a deep topic here that you're talking into, is the connectedness of all humans. We are all sharing the same airspace. We're in a bubble here. It's an enclosed system. And I've heard about entanglement. I mean, is it along the lines of entanglement? Are you familiar with that?
Well, I don't know what you mean. I heard the word, but what
Yeah.
in particular?
Scientists in Vienna, created a mass, an atomic mass of, I think, 2,000 atoms that were exactly the same atoms as another set of atoms. And anything they did to this set of atoms immediately impacted this set of atoms over here. So it went from being an idea and a theory to they actually took a mass of 2,000 atoms and they created the same 2,000 atoms. They're not different atoms. And they can put them anywhere in the universe and immediately touch this one and have an impact those over there. That's what I mean by entanglement.
Yes. I mean, there is a knowledge when we have a critical mass, creating an awareness, the rest of the species is becoming aware about without doing anything. So I know when we create a critical mass, taking a conscious breath, this conscious breath will be in everybody. So this is beyond language. This is beyond that somebody needs to hear, because there is deaf people, there is babies. Literally, when we create this conscious breath in a critical mass, which doesn't matter how much that is, I think it will be sooner than we think.
Yeah.
When we create this conscious breath, which my mission, whoever feels called to be part of this group who creates this conscious breath, what we practice every week on Saturday and on Monday, You are part of this creation consciously,
Mm.
creating this conscious breath, which will create alignment. Wars will instantly stop.
Hmm. And that, being from Serbia, there's a power to that statement, right? And the statement that wars will stop. It's because we don't like to fight against people that we are connected with, right? We battle those that are different from us. We polarize. We create that.
I go further.
Hmm.
In this moment, when I take a conscious breath and you take a conscious breath and we are connected, we become aware what we are always connected. We are one.
Hmm.
On the ether is around the globe. And the ether is in you now, through your lungs, through the hemoglobin, through the blood flow to every cell. And it's in me now. And this is not like an idea. This is a fact. I am in you now,
Hmm.
wherever you are on the planet. And this cannot not be. But when we become aware, something happens. We become deeply aware and we feel touched.
Hmm.
We feel touched not on a surface. When we feel touched from intimacy, that's very beautiful. We realize we are touched on a cellular level.
In simple terms, like this is really basic, but I will have a thought about somebody.
Yep.
And that person will call.
Yeah.
Or will text, or will run into that person. I went to a restaurant like last Saturday. One of my best friends on the planet. He was I went to this place that I haven't been to in years because I've worked on Saturdays for the last 8 years of my life in the business that I was in. And so I couldn't go to this place on Saturdays, but it was one of my best friend's favorite restaurants. But it's just a sandwich place. It's just somewhere to get lunch. And I went at like 1:15 in the afternoon, and I went with my wife, and we show up, and I order, and consciously, but I didn't say it out loud. I didn't do anything. I was like, this is Tyler's favorite place, my buddy Tyler. And I'm sitting there talking to my wife, Amber, and she's talking to me. And all of a sudden she looks up and she's like, oh, hey. And I turn around and it's Tyler. Of all the restaurants in my city that he could go to, and it's not a tiny place. I mean, we're in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a decent size. And all the time periods and that particular Saturday, and that me and him would be there at the same time, he got there about 15, 20 minutes after me. And I almost think that he was looking for lunch. I went into that restaurant, thought about him, and he goes, I'm going to that place. And he showed up.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be like, oh, that's just coincidental. But I think that happens to me all the time in different contexts, all the time. So that's just a rudimentary way of explaining the connectiveness of our thoughts, and we can increase that connectiveness through our breathing.
Yeah. And we speak about telepathy, but I'm saying there's even a hardware wiring. So there is something really even physically connecting. And we also know that the space is not empty. Like if we go in the universe, the space is not empty. There is something. So the space is not nothing. It's not a vacuum where nothing is. There is something. And on the earth, it's ether, which is transporting the sound. And on this level, we literally, we are connected. What I breathe out, you breathe in. And what you breathe out, I breathe in.
It gives me a new understanding for the power of our words, right? What I breathe out, especially basically what I'm speaking is what I'm breathing out, and that goes out into the world. And the power of the word and its creation, abracadabra, that as you speak it, so shall it be, is that word, now that it's out in that ether, and it will go out and be created, and it's essentially, I think what it does for me is it has me be more mindful about the words I speak. What am I speaking? And what's showing up in my world because of that breathing out of that vocalization of my internal state, and can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, what I hear is you say the words.
Yeah.
It's not only the words, it's also the intensity. I can say something, or I can say something. So there is a different intensity, which is direct and energy in the air.
Yeah.
And that is triggering. And on this level, we are totally sensitive. I mean, we talk about the cells. The cell is the tiny thing. By the way, just one idea comes to my mind. Are you aware that your egg, where you were born out of, was already present in your mother's mother?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
So when your mother and your mother's mother was in a war, you were physically present in this war as the tiniest, most fragile being existent, which is certainly very, very receptive of energies. So I come to that because of the intensity. So when you're just a cell and not a child, as a cell, you're even more sensitive than a little child compared to an adult. So you were present. So you can think about what
That's
did your
interesting.
grandmother experience? You were physically there. So we don't talk about energetic pre-life. We literally talk about a physical presence in the most fragile, sensitive state of you have been.
Interesting. So our
It just
experience.
came to my mind. It just occurred to me.
No, I think it ties in because, as we look at creating in your world and breathing into your world and speaking into existence these things, a lot of what we're experiencing is the expression. The expression comes out, but that expression directly relates to who we think we are, all the old programming, and rarely do I slow down to think my programming might be multi-generational, and I don't even know it. My grandma, I know on my mom's side, my grandma experienced severe abuse, was almost killed by her partner. And my mom was born to that. And my mom had traumas growing up. And then I was born to her. And going back 2 generations, that's some tough DNA to overcome, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, it's just about to be aware. We are already 2 generations away from that.
Yeah.
But it still might have behavioral influence.
Yeah. Okay.
And just understanding why do we are, it's just another place to look at. It might give answers for people who don't understand about their behaviors, or why do I attract certain things because the parents were so happy. Why do I attract this? It's about to have a look in the next generation, a possibility to look there. It might bring answers.
That's incredible. Honestly, it gives understanding because it's still our consciousness, our awareness is still up to us whether we do something with that. So once we've awakened to something, we don't have to change it. We don't have to do anything any different. We can be fully aware and continue the same patterns we've always done and resign to it. Or we can wake up and say, it's time to do something about this. So even though grandma might have been a certain way and mom might have been a certain way, now it's up to me, if I didn't get that parenting, to wake up to it and then to shift that energy. I could use this story for my whole life Oh, my dad died when I was 2. Mom was mentally ill. We were financially poor. Like, you know how many people have that exact same story? And worse. And I'm seeing them go out and create something amazing from that. Amazing. So,
I think that is the place where we are creating amazing things. So my, let's say, disaster around my birth
yeah.
was the awareness which created me going into breathwork in a commitment which I don't see in anybody else.
Hmm.
So I was directly guided to a place to make my breathwork training, and I'm very committed to breathing. And well, the whole story about moving to Serbia, releasing everything in Austria, not working for about 8 years. And then I had the call to breathe with people, and that was 2018.
Hmm.
2018, nobody was breathing online. That was before pandemic. Breathwork was done in a physical space. So I had a call to breathe with people here in the Serbian mountains.
Hmm.
And I thought how to do that. Because, everybody who is a responsible breathwork coach does that in a room. That's how it's done. Everybody does that like that. So I reached out to the world, the people I know in the breathwork area, and asked, who is breathing online? Does somebody know about it? And nobody responded. And then I sat down and thought about myself. How can I responsibly breathe with people online so I can breathe with everybody? And I created a way of breathing. That was 2018. And on the 31st of December 2018, I'm a habits guy. I started a group of habits 7 years ago. And these guys, I really created a strong relationship with. They were my guinea pigs. So I asked them, are you open and interested in breathing online? I never did it. I created something and they were an instant yes.
Huh.
So on the 31st of December 2018, we made this first breathing online. And their feedback was so encouraging that I started the breathing group in January 2019. Well, and that was before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So, and then a year later, everybody was looking, how can I breathe online? Either
Man.
online or no line, right?
No timing accidents there, right?
It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
So this idea here of coming up with your own, yeah, and I like to look at the process, as much as the mindset behind it, but the process of stepping into something that's never been done before. Looking at the resources that are available to you. We call this the journey of abundance, is that everything we need is already here. It's up to us to see it, for one, and then to transform it. And then 3, the vision of it, of what is it that I'd like to bring into this world, and then the surrender and nurturing of it. Because your ultimate impact is to breathe with humanity, right? So the surrender and nurture part is where I think a lot of people get stuck of, I know what I want for my vision, but I have no idea how to bring it about. I try and control things to get them to come out the way I want them to come out. And when they don't, I'm really hard on myself because they didn't turn out. Can you speak to that of if those even played out in your process and how?
Well, I literally was called with a voice to create this breathing.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere and I was really hit by it because I was building our house here in the Serbian mountains. We had a young son. So I was actually busy. And well, then it was the uncertainty to reach out and ask my teachers what they know about it. And I literally went back with the question to universe and said, how shall I do that?
Mm.
And the answer came back, think about it. The answer was, you're breathing now for 17 years. Think about it. You know how to do it.
Mm.
And then I sat down. So there was not a idea of I need a breathing and how can I do that? That was really like I had to do it.
Mm.
This was not, I was not asked for that. This was like, go and create it. And well, taking a conscious breath with people online was not a sexy thing, because that is like, you don't do that. So there was not like tons of people waiting for that.
Mm.
And then while pandemic, there was quite a hystery. People were looking for how they can create it. So I was connected to my breathing association in Austria, where I was the president for 10 years. And in this room, in this space, we started having the conversation, how can people do that? And then happened something very important. I felt this, there is all breathing coaches, and in this moment when they needed to change something, I felt this tension. We are breathing coaches. The first thing is we need to breathe. Yeah, we need to breathe through. And when I felt this tension, I just felt I need to leave this space. And that was actually a powerful step for me to release my father figure in the breathing. So my coach, my trainer, my mentor, which I also was part of his training curriculum. So we were co-creating some trainings. I literally left everything behind to go on this journey to create this natural conscious breath. And that was the evolution of the next 5 years until now. So it's connected to follow my purpose, is connected to release authorities and structures which would keep me little. It would keep me small. So I needed to release everything to, and one line in my document says, I'm standing with the giants of humanity. And that is a releasing birth process. And I make this habit quest. You know Robin Sharma? Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. club, the monk who sold his Ferrari. He says, ridicule is the price of legendary people following their dreams. It's part of it. If it's not ridiculing you, if people are not coming up with questions you cannot answer, you're not dreaming big enough. But for me, it was not about finding the biggest dream. I realized how this awareness fits on my journey. And possibly the subconscious was open for that and co-creating that. So I was ready and prepared, but it's still sometimes very uncomfortable. And one line is also be comfortable with the discomfort.
I love that. It brings a couple of things to mind. So there's a thing called the Zeigarnik effect, which is the idea that a waiter, this is where it was noticed, it was a waiter will remember your order. They'll have it fully on their memory until it's completed, and then they forget it. So you wonder, how are they able to do that? It's the mind's ability to latch onto something and hang on to that until it's fulfilled or completed.
Yep.
So that's one part of it. And then we hear about the reticular activating system, which says it starts scanning for the things it needs in the environment. So one, it's opened up to holding on to that idea until it fulfills it. But two, now it's very aware of things that could fit that need in the environment. So the combination of those two comes from a clarity of what you're creating, which is your vision. So when you have a clear vision, hope theory says that when you have a clear vision, not only do you know the future is going to be brighter, you know you're the one that's going to bring it into reality, and you'll overcome any obstacle to make it a reality. So in combination here, the Zeigarnik effect, the reticular activating system, the vision, the clear vision blended together allows you to not only hold on to the vision until completion, but you're now able to see the things that would fit the completion of that vision and pull them into your reality. Without that clarity of vision, without that commitment to it, it would be impossible for you to even be aware, even though it's swimming around you, all that abundance, right? You wouldn't even see it.
And two, as you're moving towards, like, or pulling that in, one of the two or both,
Yep.
There's going to be things that you're not even aware of, at people, situations that now resonate on the same wavelength, that get drawn in, and the connectedness goes out, grabs it, and then pulls it in to your reality.
That's that connection, right, Ryan? It's that. Now that it's out there, Steve Hardison said this to me once. I go, in the parking lot of that welfare center, I said, "Can you?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, "You don't even know what I'm going to ask." And he says, "There's nothing you can ask that's bigger than me." Years later, he said, "It's not only that I'm arrogant enough." He said, "I'm not arrogant to think I'm the one that's going to do everything." He says that I know I can enroll others to help me create that. And when your vision is clear, and when you know what you're looking for in your environment, and you speak that out, whether it comes from somebody you know or not, the universe, God's created this thing so incredibly that it's tuned to that, and things show up in your world that you cannot logically explain how they got there. But the speaking of it out there is, like you say, Ryan, it entangles with the people you need, the things you need to make that a reality.
Yeah, and he Wolfgang proved it at the beginning when he talked about the breath work, and then talked to a was it your friend or neighbor or whatnot, and all of a sudden that led to something else. It led to something else. It led to something else. It's fascinating.
I never looked up any breathwork school which would be out there. I got the telephone number directly. So I had no effort to come into the breathing school.
See, this is
so that I didn't need to take time to think, would I be rebirthing or would I practice holotropic breathing? There is various breathing schools out there, which can give you a headache. Yeah. Basically, you want to go into this direction, or you want to use breathwork with mushrooms or ayahuasca, or there's tons of things out there. I literally didn't have any choice to make. And years later, when I was 2012 in India, at the birthplace of rebirthing, I realized, wow, I literally was guided to the ultimate teacher in the world. Okay. I didn't know that, I didn't have to think, but that's just who I'm being. And that's why I'm really excited to be here with you guys, because I know I'm on the ultimate child's place, which is something very significant.
We're not going away. That's the thing, is our impact, our ripple from the Giants community will ripple out, and you're part of that ripple. This is part of our, if only one person were to watch this, and that person had a mission in this world to create an impact in their world, they're going to ripple out from this to their world, and we don't get to see the end result of that. So yes. When you say, I want to touch all humanity, you might touch all humanity, but never get to witness it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I'm aware of that.
It's not our job to witness it. Our job is to create the ripple. And like you said earlier, that puff of air goes out and it creates a ripple in the world. This is such an essential piece here, because we think we have to be responsible for the how. We think we have to be responsible for controlling and boxing in the universe and saying, do it within these guidelines and parameters, right? When I program AI, I take this broad spectrum of knowledge and I narrow it down into a guide rail. And I say, you can only perform within this guide rail. And it does. And it does a really good job at it. But when it comes to creation, that guardrail, like Townsend Wardlaw says, that the moment you believe a belief, it becomes limiting by the nature of believing it. You box in the universe and you say, that's it. And what you're saying here, Wolfgang, is that instead of boxing in the universe to your method or somebody else's method, which we can feel is misaligned, you open it up and you're led to, or it's guided to you. Is that Am I hearing that?
Yes, and there was a question I saw,
Yeah.
if that is a guided meditation. I would like to speak to that.
Yeah, please.
It's like the document. The document is basically a series of I am statements.
Yeah.
If I have a series of I am statements, I have a guided meditation. If I have an I am statement series coming from self-forgiveness, coming out of non-useful thoughts, it becomes the document, which is not a series of statements. It's a declaration. And the breath work, which I created, is not a guided meditation. It is a reactivation of your reflexes. And that is significant. You said something, Nick. It opens up the breathing to everybody. And how I did that is, in the same moment, somebody can come into an ecstatic breathing, and somebody else can come in the same guidance into a total relaxed, calm, chilling breathing. And how that is created is the speciality of this breathing. So this is not like everybody breathes now intensively, or everybody comes now to relaxation with calm music. This is like giving the space, listening into your body, and what your body requires is where you're following to. And this connects you to your reflexes, which every one of us shut down, literally. We all went through education. So I say very rare people in the world did not go through a parenting education where the parents were at school. Then you went to kindergarten, you went to school. Most people also were or had to go to church. And all these behaviors were really reducing. You had to be quiet. You had to sit still. And yawning is a very special topic in these spaces. You should not yawn because somebody feels offended. When somebody yawns in your presence, usually the question is, are you tired or am I boring? So there is very deep emotional patterns triggered by somebody yawning. And we literally shut it off. So you only yawn when you cannot help yourself anymore. And in the breathing, we see you breathe much, your body would breathe and yawn much more than the one time every 5 days when a yawn really breaks through. You know, there is like a moment when it's like somebody yawns and somebody cannot help.
Right.
This is like already an emergency. And this reflex is such a powerful tool, and to recreate the connection to these reflexes. And by the way, successful people consciously use this, and there is science behind. Really high performance people use stretching and yawning consciously before their performance.
You said something, the way you said it, I had to look up, the word educate. We've all been educated. I'm part of that education. That the way you said it was, I was taught, just like you and anybody else in this show here, I was taught a certain way. I was led out of my reflexes. I was led out of, and that's what the word means, to be led out or to taught. Like teaching animals or training animals, we've been educated, and this is where it stems from, trained into not doing what you're talking about here. So you lent this, the way you phrased that was, look, I'm waking up to that education too. We were all programmed. And now we're waking up to this, and you're saying it in such a way that education, I was educated like you were, programmed to think certain ways. And part of that training out of the natural patterns is what we're getting back to. So now I'm going to uneducate myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So powerful. Just a small like phrasing of that I heard.
And there comes in the breathing part in the habits. There is to recreate habits or change habits. It needs repetitions. It needs a certain, and for these repetitions, we need the reminder. And this reminder, these repetitions, we create in the weekly breathing, where we connect to this breath, because it takes quite some courage to do something what we just never experienced like that. And I want to say one thing here in the show today. I experienced pretty much at the beginning of the breathing one phenomenon. I longed for relaxation. There was a wish to relax. And having reached a certain state of relaxation, a fear came up, because a relaxed body feels like a powerless body. So a fear came up. What if my body cannot reactivate now? Then I would be vulnerable. And it was an interesting fear. And I say this fear is something what comes up in everybody. So we long for relaxation, but as soon we come to a relaxed state, a fear kicks in, which reactivates us. So we actually need consciously create a relaxation, coming to the point of going through a fear.
Yeah, man. Are we going to get to breathe with you today?
Let's take some conscious breathing cycles.
Can you walk us through that and do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was on the Ultimate Experience in Arizona, and Judy asked me to take a conscious breath with the group, and she asked me, how long does it take? I say, how long do you take for one conscious breath? Possibly 20 seconds. Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Well, I invite you to sit back and to close your eyes and to take the next inhale fully aware and realize how your body responds. And I invite you to allow this response. Your body might take another inhale. And just realize how you breathe differently just because you close your eyes and you take this conscious breath actively in. And I invite you to let yourself being surprised by what is happening. And by feeling this next inhale, how your spine is rolling up. So when you inhale, your spine is slightly rolling up. Your shoulders are slightly going back. And your head is slightly falling into your neck. And with this next inhale, your mouth might open, and I invite you to allow that. And when you take the next conscious inhale, breathing into your belly, a beautiful force rises up into your jaws and initiates a yawn. And I invite you to allow that. I consciously invite you to allow that because we are in a group. This is by definition a place where we don't do that. So consciously allow your mouth to open with the next inhale as this beautiful force occurs again. Let the next inhale deeply flow down in your belly and feel how it arises again. You possibly yawn 10 times in the next minute. You never saw that before. You never experienced before. I invite you to literally just listen to your body. This is nothing what we create. You listen to your body and it occurs out of you. This is what your body is asking for. And then with the next conscious inhale, I invite you to allow this force rising up, which creates your arms go upwards to a stretch. Allow this stretch. And allow the yawn to be a lion yawn. That means mouth opens 180 degrees. And there is a sound like a roar, which is the stretching sound. And take another deep inhale. Allow this stretch again. Arms up, sound. And with the exhale, open your eyes and just be here. Just observe what is there now. Breathe and feel this connection. I invite you to, there are some people breathing with us in the chat. I invite you to share with us if there changed something. What are you experiencing? Nick Ryan, if you would like to say something about this 1 minute of breathing.
I just like opened my eyes feeling like zoned in, fresh, like a fresh perspective. Everything was so crisp and clear out here. Might be the glasses, but I could see, you know what I mean? It was like energetically, everything felt clear. Opening my eyes.
It's unexpected of the yawn that came. You know, even though you were telling us about the yawn, I had to. There was a spot, and I don't even know, right about here where I had to then allow it, consciously allow. And when I made that decision to relax into it and allow it, it came. And obviously, I like the lion, yawn. That's always a good thing, being Ryan the lion. And then opening my eyes, and Nick too. It was like in HD, and there's buzzing in my fingertips, but yet the calmest feeling of love and connection to the brotherhood that's sitting here right now, and probably those that are at home that are doing it with us as well, or around the world who are doing their breath as well.
I would like to say something about these reflexes. Reflexes are having one meaning: to protect our life. That's the only reason for our reflexes. The yawn creates the fastest, most efficient way of recharging, regenerating, for one simple reason. You need to be the best version for surviving. That's where it's coming from.
This is so
I used to say, evolution-wise, the last 2,000 years didn't even happen. So to have a look who we are being when we are in stress, where we are operating from. We have to go, tribal, a couple of thousand years ago, and to see what were the circumstances and what was the requirement to survive. Being the strongest, best version was not a question of luxury, and I would like to have that. It was simply, if you were powerful, strong, or fast enough, you survived. If you were not, you were the food.
Oof. This is so relevant. Can I speak to that a little bit before we wrap up here?
Please.
I've been taught, don't be insecure. I've been taught, don't be anxious. I've been taught, don't be depressed. I've been taught, don't be angry. And all of these are evolutionary adaptations that have been perfected over time. And I've been conditioned to ignore those.
Yes.
And every one of those serves a purpose. Insecurity tells you something's off. Anxiety tells you that you are judging yourself and that you're measuring yourself against society's standards. Depression tells you that you're pushing too hard to live up to ideals that you set for yourself. Anger is the thing that incinerates the things that no longer serve you. And we're taught, shut those down. And I will be insecure, and I will be anxious, and I will be angry, and I will be depressed, because evolution has taught us that that's how you get through and become the survival, the one that adapts, right? Can you go ahead? And I know there's something on your tongue there.
Yeah, well, the body takes that, and when you're not listening, the body just simply puts it somewhere. So the reflexes are still there. What you said, Ryan, you felt it, and at a certain point it came. If that is accessible, it would just come and flow, and naturally it would be available. And we literally don't even feel them. I had an experience a couple of weeks ago. I was with a lady in a Zoom call, and the lady, you know how somebody looks like when somebody's yawning and suppressing that?
Yeah.
And not holding the hand in front of the mouth is like this. You see it. There is a yawn and somebody's suppressing it. And I said, let's stop for a moment. It just said, what? I said, let's allow this yawn which is there. And she said, which yawn? I mean,
you know, realizing that she was like shutting it down even.
Yeah, you know, this yawn which you suppress is really strong. It's like pushing your entire face into all directions. She didn't even realize that happened. That's how strong the suppression was.
Wow.
She did not realize that her face was making all kind of expressions. She did not realize it. I saw it immediately. So we don't realize what others see physically. This is not like we sense that. No, you literally can see somebody has pain, somebody has a need, and the person does not even realize that.
Or we were taught to judge it accordingly. That they're bored, that they're tired, that they don't care. These are things. If you're on a professional Zoom call and somebody's like, whoa, you know, or yawns, you know, it's like, oh, is this boring? You don't care about your job. This, you know, is the instructor doing a terrible job? Whatever.
I say somebody, you know what the most efficient thing is you can do when you make a meeting? Start with a stretch and a yawn. You know what that creates? Listening. If somebody is not in this state, don't even say what you have to say, because people cannot listen.
Wow.
It's the most efficient business tool you could implement in your company.
And it all starts with self-leadership. And if you want to lead others, lead yourself in this, right? This is where we've been taught these things are so wrong. It's time to just self-lead and say, nope, I'm doing this for me because I know Wolfgang taught me, I learned this from him, that yawn is that reflexive reset of that nervous system. And we need it when we stifle it. And that's where our problems are. I'm tired of playing like I'm strong, right? Pretending. I'm not going to perform.
I have one wish. Anybody who's watching that, please don't think it's so simple that you do it on your own, because you will fail, because you will not even realize that you would yawn. You will forget it. I invite you, go with a coach to practice that. It's literally a habit change. It takes months and years to recultivate that. So deep it is suppressed. This is my wish to my last statement here. Don't think, oh, that's easy. It is the most simple thing. It's the most efficient thing you can do. It will disappear again. And you will not even realize that it disappears again.
Okay. Wolfgang, how do people find you?
Well, Facebook. Can we post an email here in the group?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Should we do an email?
Yes,
What's your
directly.
Yep.
I'll write it here in the chat.
Yeah, please do, and I'll copy it over. Or yeah, just comment there. Ryan, as we wrap up here, final thoughts from you around this, realizations.
Unexpected. There was an expectation in my mind and a thought of you, and you shifted it. I already viewed you as somebody that I loved and that I appreciated and that was doing giant things in the world. And I now have a deeper connection. And I get emotional when I do these because I can see people. I can feel people. You made me feel a brotherly love and a connection that ran through my entire body and out my fingertips, that resonated, that was electric. And there's times in your life where you have you come across something that excites you and gets you motivated, and you want to step forward. It's that giant that's calling you to remind you of who you are. It's the Steve Hardison TBOLITNFL shake, right? It's that. And then you have moments where you share that, or your doubts and your fears, they snicker and they laugh at you, and you have maybe physical people in your world that tell you, well, don't be mad, don't be sad, don't feel this, Nick, don't do that. And it's their fears, it's their worries, it's their doubts that then get placed on you. And then there's even deeper levels that we've talked about in this show. You have just unpopped the popcorn seed, as Nick says. Once you know this, you can't put it back into. Once a popcorn seed has been popped, it's really difficult to put it back inside the seed.
Cannot unsee it anymore.
Yeah.
Cannot unsee it. And so for those of you that are at home and watching this, or will watch this in the future, you've seen it. Now you know it. Now go learn it. Go reawaken.
May I share something?
Please do.
May I share something more what is very dear to me?
Yes, please.
I created in 2003 the first men group. And we do this work in the Circle of Man 2.0, where I found out some things. We speak about things nobody else is spoken about. So I would like to talk to you about that as well. And why this is significant, my vision is to take one conscious breath with all humanity. The question is, where are the guys? They are all
Must be important.
It is very important.
Yeah. Technology has been only failing when there's something important. And so we're going to hold out till he comes back and grab that information. I'm certain that people can, you like that little whistle there? I'm certain that people can grab that by emailing Wolfgang. How interesting that through this entire show, we got all of that across. And I feel like there is a deep calling to men to stand up, right?
Because we were taught to pull up our panties or
Yeah.
you know, toughen it out,
Right.
or you know, you don't show your emotion, you don't cry. A lot of stuffing
Yep.
inside, and I imagine that's a lot of what he's talking about, and that
Yeah.
connection.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap, and we'll grab that information and share it in the Tribe of Giants. If you're not a member there, please go to Facebook, join the Tribe of Giants, and join that community there. As always, thank you for being a part of this show. Reach out to Wolfgang at this email here. Go make it a giant day, and we will see you in the next video.
Love you too.